Indian app releases. The initial momentum was gained when the government banned certain Chinese apps on grounds of violation of the security and privacy of citizens, and hence there was this massive void that needed to be filled. You know who were the happiest? Indian app developers. They instantly started working on to fill this massive void that was left behind by those Chinese apps. As we stand in the April of 2021, I could be almost 100% sure that there is an Indian app for every major app that you use, and I wanted to check if a person could live with just Indian apps, using only Indian apps, and I tried for a day. I am Devolappamanna and you are watching Tech. A tiny side note before we begin, I had to choose my Indian apps very carefully because I had this condition. The condition was that it is not mandatory that the app should be founded by Indians. It may or may not be founded by Indians, but the profit should go to Indians. This is the reason why I could not consider Flipkart, although it was founded by Indians, Sachin and Vinay Bansal. But in 2018, it was acquired by the US retail chain giant Walmart. So all the profit, about 80% of the profit goes to Walmart. So I had to choose my apps very carefully with this condition in place. Okay, enough of side notes. Let's get on with the first app, and that is Qoo. So I use Twitter very often. It is easily one of my most used apps. So Qoo, which is a direct competitor to Twitter, was the winner of the Atmanirbhar App Innovation Challenge run by the government. I'll be honest here, I thought it would be just a ripoff of Twitter. They would have just copied or mimicked the look and feel of Twitter. But I was wrong. They didn't copy just Twitter. They copied also some part from Facebook. At least that's what I felt. The post outline of the desktop version does really resemble that of Facebook. But speaking of desktop version, it feels unpolished and there are certain features that is missing on the desktop version. You know what? These are software issues, right? And these can easily be solved with an update. But I feel there are certain issues that an update, it just can't help. An update can't help. For example, the lack of users. I know it is unfair to compare it to Twitter, but that's the reason why everybody has a Twitter account. The same reason everybody has a Twitter account. Almost everyone that you know has a Twitter account. There is this massive pool of users on Twitter, and when you compare that to Qoo, there are very, very few people, and those present, I don't know if I would follow them on social media. Almost 75% of the people on Qoo are politicians. See, I'm not a person with political interests, so the already limited pool of users becomes even limited to me. Also, why would I want to follow the Ministry of Railways on Qoo? It's just unfounded. Alright, I have said enough negatives about this app, but it's not all bad. There are some features that I actually like. The maximum word limit is 350 compared to 280 on Twitter. If you have used Twitter, you know that those 70 words, that difference of 70 words is gold. The mobile app UI is really good, which is much better than the desktop UI. But it is hard to recommend Qoo as an alternative to Twitter, not until they can work on all the flaws and give it a character that is distinct from that of Twitter. I really hope that they can do that. And you know what is another thing that I hope? That you can subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up button. So while using Qoo, I realized that the keyboard app that I'm using is GBoard, which is owned by Google, which is not an Indian company. So I had to find an alternative for GBoard or SwiftKey in case we're using that. And that is when I came across Bobble keyboard, which is very popular actually with over 10 million downloads. It also helped that it was released in 2015 before this whole no China incidents happened. Talking about the app itself, this actually impressed me. Well, all the usual keyboard bits and bobs are there, like personal dictionary, auto capitalization, gestures, double space for full stops. These are standard keyboard app features, and we have come to expect these from almost every keyboard app. But if an app needs to be really good, then it needs to have certain features which we don't find anywhere else, and that is where I think the Bobble keyboard team has done a good job. Since this is an Indian app, the number of languages is massive, as massive as 26 languages. That is a very good number. More importantly, you can make stickers and GIFs with this keyboard. Yes, you can make them. And if you don't want to make them, there is a decent collection of preloaded stickers and GIFs. Another addition that I liked was that whatever you have typed, you can convert them into stickers, which I felt was a really nice touch. Then, since this is a local app, the word suggestions, especially from those Indian words, those will be better than some of the foreign apps. So this is a good app, and I can recommend it to you if you are considering switching from GBoard or Swift key. But there's one thing I did not like. Those are these indirect advertisements when if I'm typing something, then they think that I want to download these apps. So Gaana is easily the most popular app on the list today, and I'm pretty confident that 99% of people watching this have heard of Gaana, if not at least used them. By the way, you can also consider Wink Music or Jio 7, which are equally good, but I ended up choosing Gaana because it's more popular. And Gaana was my number one pick as an alternative to Spotify and Apple Music. The collection of Indian songs here is stellar. They also have these radios which are similar to playlists, but you don't have to select anything or you don't have to touch anything. It is seamless. Also, the premium version of Gaana is 20 rupees cheaper than that of Spotify. So, is that it? Should everyone just uninstall Spotify from their lives and install Gaana into their lives? Absolutely not. The main problem with Gaana I felt is ads. See, I don't have a problem with ads. That is how YouTube gets a massive chunk of their revenue. But there's a fine line between ads and too much ads that people want to leave your app. This is especially the case in the desktop version, which is a mess. These banner ads really ruin the experience, and ads is something that I think Spotify has done well in terms of placement. Another thing that I listen to maybe more than music is podcast, and the collection of podcasts here, especially tech podcast, is not so good. So what should Gaana do? Just reduce the intensity of ads. No ads would be a bit too much to ask for, but reducing the number of ads will be a good starting point. For binge watching movies and TV shows, I chose ZEE5. I have used ZEE5 extensively through the TV app, and that is the experience that I'll be sharing today. But if you have used ZEE5 on phone or laptop, let me, but more importantly, others know about the experience that you had in the comments down below. Coming back to the app, the collection of movies and TV shows here is very good, especially those in regional languages. Speaking of Hollywood movies, the collection here is almost non-existent. I guess majority of those movies are taken away by Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, who can afford to pay those big bucks. But the collection of movies in Tamil, Hindi, Malayalam are actually decent, and you can be content for the most part. If you are into Indian soaps or serials, especially from those from Zee channels, then this is quite possibly the best OTT platform for you. The video quality is really good. It does look very crisp, given that your internet connection is above par. They have also done a good job with the UI. It is very intuitive and snappy. One thing I did not like, I would say it is the lack of movies. I know I just said that the collection of movies is decent, but there's definitely room for improvement. The next service in my mind is Digiboxx, which is an Indian alternative to Google Drive, but it comes at almost a quarter of the price. I have a tiny bit of a confession to make. I just tested the free version of the app, which although is very good, the paid plan, which starts at ₹30 for up to 2 TB of storage, is really the essence of the service. So if you are interested in knowing more about the paid plan of the service, then I will leave a link here for a video by Technology Jog in which he goes over the paid plan in detail. Anyway, my impression, the UI is beautiful, but some features, some basic features are missing. Like you can't rename folders. Like that's very strange. Yeah, so it definitely needs some improvement, not some massive improvement. Yeah. Alright, so for the next set of 5 apps, let's move there. Yeah. You know that I didn't need to come here to talk to you about those 5 apps, right? But anyway, I thought I'll come here because a change of place doesn't do anybody any harm, right? So let's get into those 5 apps, and the first one among those 5 apps is NaviMaps. Okay, so I bet that you would not have heard of this app, but honestly, I can't blame you because I also had not heard of this app prior to the research that I was doing for this video. Anyway, as you can infer from the name, this is an alternative to Google Maps. So, those are massive shoes to fill. Should you install NaviMaps? Honestly, I don't think so. You will be better off for the most part with Google Maps. There is quite a few reasons for that. First, the UI looks a bit old. It looks a bit like 2012ish. Then there are these sound effects. There's no way around it. I can't sugarcoat it. It is bad. It is horrible sound effects. Of course, you can disable them, but that is an extra step, right? Then the thing that you actually use this app for, that is navigation, is also just average. There is no multiple routes to a destination depending on the volume of traffic on each route. I feel that could be due to an absence of upgradation of these routes over time. And well, speaking of volume of route, you can't see the volume of the traffic on the single route that they provide unless and until you download a plugin. And another thing that I do not like about this app is that, say if you make a mistake, you make, say, a wrong turn, it won't reroute you and provide you an alternate route. It will still only provide you the already existing single route that the app knows. By the way, these are all features that is present on Google Maps. Okay, so now the positives. It is pretty accurate if you don't want the features that I mentioned this lacks, like multiple routes, or if you don't want those features, then I feel it is pretty accurate. Okay, so what should NaviMaps do? Well, actually quite a lot, but I feel improving the UI would be a good starting point. Okay, so this is a set of services that I feel can potentially displace your existing set of services. Now, that is impressive in itself, but it becomes even more impressive when I tell you that those existing set of services is MS Office Suite. So Zoho Office Suite is that set of services which I feel can potentially displace your existing MS Office Suite or G Suite. If you have not heard of them, then I highly suggest that you check them out. Actually, fun fact, Zoho Office Suite, developed in 2005, was actually developed a year before G Suite, now known as Google Workspace, which was developed in 2006. Okay, so Zoho has Zoho Writer for MS Word or Google Docs, Sheet for MS Excel or Google Sheets, and Show for PowerPoint presentation or Google Slides. They do know what they're doing and the experience is really polished. As I said in the beginning, if you want to change your MS Office Suite, then I think this is a good choice. The only hiccup that I felt was that since this is a web first, mobile second model, the mobile apps are really unpolished. So what should Zoho do? They can work on their mobile apps, then they can keep up what they're doing very well, and maybe try to have an integration that Google and Microsoft has achieved. I know that you have not heard of the name. I also know that the name sounds a bit strange, but believe me when I say this, this is a very, very good service and I suggest it to everyone. It's that good. See, building and maintaining a search engine is neither cheap nor easy. Estimates say that you would need somewhere around $100 million if you want to build a good search engine, and if you want to maintain that, then you might want to shell out somewhere around $25 million per year for maintenance. And that is why there is an oligopoly, that is, a small number of firms have either all of the sales or almost all of the sales in search engines like Google, Bing and Yahoo. And these were the reasons that I was surprised when I came to know that there is an Indian search engine. And my emotions were only increased when I came to use it, and it was actually very good. It is really fast, although it could be slower than Google by just milliseconds. And the inspiration is clearly taken from Google, there's no denying that. The layout of the search area, the things below like images, news, all of those does give you a Google vibe. But I also think that they have done a good job with the color schemes so as to avoid any visual relations with Google. What I'm trying to say is that the UI is definitely very stable and visually decent. Okay, so the things that they should work on, first of all, voice search is missing. Then there is no hamburger for you to select things like history, downloads, or opening new tabs. So there's no hamburger, and they definitely need to work on that. And I also think that they need to work on their marketing. The only marketing that they have done is being India's search engine, but I feel that they need to do a lot more than that. There's a reason that I have named this section Jio Galore rather than having a separate section for each Jio app. It's not rocket science, but there's just too much apps from Jio. You ready? Okay, here you go. Jio Pages for Chrome, Jio Chat for WhatsApp, Jio Cinema for Netflix and Prime Video, Jio Cloud for Google Drive, Jio Meet for Google Meet. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to bore you. So if you are really interested in knowing which all apps Jio has, then you might want to pause and read this very quick. And since I can't possibly test all of these apps, I tested 3. Jio Cinema, Jio News and Jio Meet. The thing I like about Jio Cinema, the UI for the TV version, which is the one I tested. It is really good and also feels a bit original. Maybe it's the color schemes that is making me think so. The thing I hate about Jio Cinema, the choice can become sometimes limited. The thing I like about Jio News, the collection is unreal. There's plenty of news articles from very large number of sources. And the thing I hate about Jio News, well, the headlines, if they are too long, gets cut off, and hence we can't read the whole headline unless we either click on the headline itself. The thing I hate about Jio Meet, I think it's a bit slow. You definitely notice that there's a delay of at least a couple of seconds between you speak and the other person hearing it. The thing I like, well, it's feature rich. There is screen sharing, whiteboard, chat, almost all of the things that you have come to expect from a good video conferencing service. Alright, I wanted to keep this for the very end of the video, and yes, this is the final app of this very long video. So if you missed it, Sandesh is developed by the government themselves as an alternative to WhatsApp. It might be because I did not have much expectations, but this one actually impressed me. Alright, so the positives, the UI. I'm very impressed. The developers did do a very good job with the UI. The other thing I like, privacy. See, this was actually developed for government employees as a means of having a private and a secure way of conversing with each other or in a group. So it has end-to-end encryption, auto-delete the message after the recipient sees it if you enable the option, and for some weird reason you can link your Aadhaar with your Sandesh account if you want to. I'm clueless as to why you would want to link your Aadhaar account with your messaging service. Why would anyone want to do that? Anyway, you can link it if you want to. Okay, so the negatives. You can't send .mkv files, .mov files, .webm files and audio files like .wav. A huge deal breaker is that you can't have groups unless you are a government employee. So if you are a non-governmental employee, then you can have only one-to-one conversations with others. So should you switch from WhatsApp? I don't think so, but if you want a more private and more secure messaging service to have conversations, maybe confidential conversations with your boss or someone like that, I think Sandesh can be given a go. Okay, so those are the 10 apps, and by the way, if you're still watching, I appreciate it massively. Thanks a lot. So, what do I think of those apps? I have mixed feelings. Using some apps, I felt like I was a beta tester. Using some apps, I did not feel anything out of the ordinary, but some apps, using them, I could actually genuinely recommend to you if you want an alternative like Zoho and QMamu. And also, apart from the personalized suggestions that I've had for each app, what should the developers do? I feel that they should move away from having Indians, us as the consumers, to having people from every country as the consumer. If they make it big, then we can be proud and say that those services or apps were made by our countrymen. We can be proud of them. But if they fail, we can still use them, right? If you want me to make any video that you would like me to do, then let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know if you have any recommendations or suggestions. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So this easily becomes the largest video that I have done over on this channel, but I want to know, do you like these longer videos? If you do, please mention them in the comments. But more importantly, if you don't like these longer videos, please mention that too. Thank you.